Hey there, all you beautiful souls. I hope your day has been absolutely fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you back for yet another exciting episode of Naruto. Students of the Snake, Jiraiya and Tsunade were supposed to be the ones to watch over Naruto. What if that responsibility fell to Orochimaru instead? How will this affect both of them, and others? How will it affect Konoha? If you guys enjoyed this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. After watching this video, don't forget to pay a visit to the author of this captivating fanfiction and show them some love. You'll find the link waiting for you down in the description. Before we get into it though, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. The day had finally come that the three Sannin were waiting for. It was Naruto's 9th birthday, and the day he acquired 9 different Kekkei Genkai from the Kyuubi. They had told him and his friends about this on his 8th birthday so he could spend a year thinking of some ideas. Of course the Sannin had some of their own, but since he ultimately was the decider he needed to observe several to get a good idea of how they worked and how to be creative with them. For the past year Naruto studied Kekkei Genkais of all sort, in books or by talking with the inhabitants of Oto personally. Most were willing to share some info with him since they knew he was close to all 3 Sannin, and they owed their lives to the trio that got them out of Kiri. Naruto learned that every one of the known bloodlines had some strengths and weaknesses and limits, so he knew he had to keep all that in mind. There was no perfect bloodline, just handy ones. For this day, a few had gathered to see this interesting acquiring of power. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro came from Suna, all aware of Naruto's Jinchuriki status. Fu came as well, although for all basic purposes the girl practically lived in Oto by now. Very little had changed about her social status in Taki even when she went back, so Shibuki let her have a semi-permanent home in Oto too as long as she came back from time to time. By the time she became Genin she would have to declare one village a full-time home, and the council in Taki was looking to force her to decide in their favor, if only to keep their Jinchuriki in check. Everyone who resided in the Oto Tower came to see this as well. Even a few who didn't reside there wanted to see. 2 of Oto's Chunin guards, Kimimaro and Tayuya, attended while the rest stayed at their posts. These 2 guards were Naruto's favorites, and the ones he spent the most time with. Since Oto had yet to participate in any actual Chunin exams, they were only ranked Chunin because Orochimaru saw fit to give them that rank. Another one of his friends, Haku, showed up, along with her mother and stepfather, since he got to know her when he asked about her clan's Kekkei Genkai. He also found out that she and her mother were the last remaining users of it, since her biological father turned them all into the Mizukage for a profit. Or he could have just killed them for fun. Naruto felt bad for her, and has been her good friend ever since. Everyone had gathered in one of the large underground rooms with Naruto in the center. They were giving him some space in case the Kyuubi's chakra acted up. "You ready for this, Naruto?" Jiraiya asked. "Yes, Eroji-san." "You sure this will work?" Naruto asked, since the initial plan was for him to just try and contact the Kyuubi on his own. Even tough he had yet to do that so far. "Not entirely. But it's worth a shot." "Great advice, Jiraiya," Tsunade sarcastically mumbled. "You're such an inspiration." Naruto sighed and closed his eyes. "Here goes nothing. Wish me luck." He heard them all whisper it, then nothing. After a bit it was too quiet. Something must be wrong. He opened his eyes, but saw a large cage instead of the room he was supposed to be in. 2 red eyes appeared from behind the bars of the cage. So it's finally that time." "Good. You're the Kyuubi, right?" Naruto asked, not that afraid since he had been prepared for this. "Indeed. And you must know why you're here." "Yep. I've been waiting for this day for about a year," Naruto answered. "And I won't end up like Fuchan did." As the Jinchuriki for the Shichibi, Fu should have received 7 Kekkei Genkais on her 7th birthday. However, she didn't know about this until that exact date, and didn't get in touch with the Shichibi in time to do all that. She did at least have enough time to bargain for 1 Kekkei Genkai, and that was enough to ensure the Shichibi wouldn't die with her, but she still felt cheated. At least like with Gaara, who also only had 1, she didn't have to worry about the time limits Naruto would have to. And with only 1 rather than 7, Taki couldn't force her to breed with multiple men later on. It looked like the large fox was grinning. "I've been waiting quite a while longer. So let's make a deal, shall we? 9 Kekkei Genkais in exchange for me being able to leave your body safely when you finally do die." "Sure, it means I'll have a long wait ahead of me, but it's so much better than dying with him." "Sounds good to me." And I've already got all 9 chosen. Then tell me about them one at a time and I can make the changes happen. And the more detailed the better, QB told him. Wonder how that mark will factor in, if at all. Okay then, here's the first one. Everyone watching Naruto mediate waited for a while and then tensed up when they saw a faint red glow around his body. Their initial impulse was to snap him out of it, but a sense of calm remained in the air and on Naruto's face, averting their concern. The glow remained for 9 minutes even, and the only sign of discomfort was a brief look of pain on the young boy's face for about half a minute. Once the glow faded, Naruto opened his eyes. I think that's it. Do you feel any different? Hinata asked with much concern. Not really, except for this weird itch on my shoulder. Naruto answered as he scratched where his curse mark was. Do I look any different? Everyone shook their head negatively. Hey Eroji-san, can you take a look at this? The fox said the mark might be gone now. Everyone in the room familiar with the curse mark perked up at hearing this. For years the Sannin were trying to get a better understanding of it and a cure for it. So far no such luck, although with a few notes they salvaged from the creator Amachi they did at least learn the source was the blood of a young boy named Jugo. He had no known family, but he had a Kekkei Genkai that made him shape-shift into a more feral form when he was aggravated to fight, which he didn't enjoy. Jugo was currently contained in a holding cell to ensure he did no harm, which he preferred. But even with him contained, they were still no closer to finding a way to be rid of the mark. Jiraiya went up to the young boy and checked his shoulder. It's gone, he gasped. But how? Naruto shrugged. Dunno. The fox said something about his own power overpowering it when he made the changes. Can it do the same for us? Kurenai asked. Most likely not, Tsunade gently answered. Remember, Naruto's system is used to the Kyuubi's chakra, so he can use it without being too hurt, but you probably wouldn't be able to handle it. Also, I'm getting the impression that it wasn't an intended effect, so we still wouldn't know what to do even if it was safe. Kurenai sighed in resignation while Anko ignored the issue. So tell us, Otoro, which ones did you get? No one knew which Kekkei Genkais the blonde was going to select. Some good ones. Even the fox was impressed at most of them. Orochimaru grinned. Why don't you show us instead of tell us? He then created a shadow clone to serve as the boy's test dummy. Okay then, here's number 1. Naruto stated as he got up to his feet. He closed his eyes, then everyone saw veins bulge around them, making 3 girls in the room drop their jaws. When he opened his eyes, everyone saw they were white like the Byakugan, but the small visible pupil was shaped like a 4-point star if one looked close enough. I call this one the Neo-Byakugan. How's it different than our own? Hitomi asked. I can't see as far as you can, but I can see in sharper detail and I can see more of a person's insides than just their chakra network. Tsunade looked impressed. Interesting. Perfect eyes for a surgeon or someone looking to use pressure points. Any descendants who inherit those eyes would make great tracker and medic shinobi. Number 2, Naruto said before closing his eyes again. The veins receded, and when he reopened, his eyes were bright orange and had 2 tomos in them, spinning in a counterclockwise direction. Neo Sharingan. Orochimaru's grin widened. Our own version of the Sharingan? Not bad, but how is this one different? Well, instead of hypnotizing other people or casting genjutsus, I can break hypnotism and other genjutsus with this. And I don't have to kill someone important to upgrade them. Instead, I have to save a precious life, not end one. Kyuubi seemed really insistent on things like this, saying he had personal issues with the normal Sharingan. But other than that, it should be the same. One thing he didn't know was that with the Kyuubi's chakra in him, he wouldn't have to worry about going blind later. So Oda will be able to have an Uchiha-like family, but with more incentives to help others. Nice. Jiraiya thought with a light grin. Naruto returned his eyes to normal. Number 3. No one noticed any physical changes, but he did 3 quick hand signs and Orochimaru's clone got frozen solid. Hayatan. But I couldn't think of anything different, so I kept it the same as Haku-chan's. I figured we could use more ice wielders. Thank you for the consideration, Naruto-kun, Haku's mother told him. Orochimaru dispelled his clone and the ice around it shattered on the ground before he made another one. Go on, Naruto. Okay, here's number 4. He made a few more hand signs and Orochimaru's clone became entangled in tree roots. I went with the Mokutan but made it so girls can use it too. Now Bachan doesn't have to worry about it dying out. Tsunade smiled warmly at the boy. Even though Yamato had already proven he could use the Mokutan, They always feared he couldn't pass it down to his descendants since it wasn't naturally his. Orochimaru got rid of this clone and Jiraiya got rid of the roots with a small fire jutsu. A new clone was made and Naruto was ready to show off his 5th Kekkei Genkai. He made some hand signs, and the next thing anyone saw was Orochimaru's clone being skewered by several large needles sticking out of the ground. Tetsutin, because few people have ever encountered the metal sub-element, and it's a great way to make weapons for myself and my allies. A new clone was made and the metal spikes were taken away to be given to a smith's shop for forging. Naruto got ready to show off his 6th gift. That's the last of the elemental stuff. Number 6 starts off a list of a few new things. He did a few hand signs and then Orochimaru's clone started levitating in the air. Everyone looked in awe, and then it fell to the ground and looked like it was being crushed by a rock. When it dispelled, Orochimaru's memories showed a sense of immense weightlessness and then too much weight. Naruto, what was that? Gravity control. Basically I can make things or people weigh less or more, and if I do it the right way I can even make myself or others fly, but I'm in complete control. Handy for moving things around, and helpful in battle if the enemy is unbalanced or too heavy to move. Naruto explained. Wow, how practical. Good one, Temari answered, especially loving the flying part since she was trying to work on using wind that way. Can someone fill in for me here? Orochimaru asked. Don't want to use too much chakra. He may be a Sannin, but even he didn't have the chakra amounts to repetitively use the clone jutsu. Sure, Jiraiya said before making his own clone. Do your worst, kid. Okay. Number 7 is like this. The color on his body seemed to pale, not as much as the snake Sannin, and his hair went white like it had been bleached. For this one, I need your clone to hit me. What? Everyone asked, not expecting that. Just try to hit me. You'll understand then. And make it a good one. Okay then. Jiraiya's clone said before balling up a fist and aiming it for the 9-year-old, even though he wasn't trying to hurt him. He aimed for the shoulder and the impact should have been no more harmful than a spanking. But instead of making a connection, the clone's fist actually went through the boy's shoulder, like he wasn't really there. The surprise and sudden off-balance made the duplicate Toad Sage fall face first on the ground, again passing through Naruto's body. Everyone looked at Naruto like they had just seen a ghost, making him smile. Ghost body. Makes everything go through me and lets me walk through walls. He then suddenly vanished into thin air. And I can become invisible too. Great for close-up spying and wearing the opponent out or scaring them. Wait, Naruto, get visible again and try and hit Jiraiya, Tsunade told him. He did just that, but his fist went right through the clone's body too. Guess the one drawback is you can't fight back. Not unless I become solid again, Naruto said before he became tangible and blonde again. Okay, for the 8-1, I need Hinata-chan and Haku-chan to come here instead. Why? Both girls' mothers asked. Not that they believed he'd really hurt them. Let's just say none of the Sannin are exactly good testers for this one. Hinata-chan and Haku-chan are perfect, the boy answered. Without waiting for their mother's approval, both aforementioned girls walked up to him with kind grins. Both trusted the boy with their lives and showed no amount of fear. What do you want us to do, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Naruto suddenly gained red rings around his eyes much like Gaara had. Try and use your own Kekkei Genkai to attack me. The two girls shared a look before giving him an if you insist look. Hinata used the hand signs needed to activate the Byakugan when the user was still young and inexperienced, while Haku tried a short set to create Samai Saman. The two finished at the same time, but nothing happened. What the heck? Haku asked herself before trying again, only to get the same results. What did you just do? Number 8 on bloodline, Naruto answered. Anyone within 10 meters of me who has a Kekkei Genkai becomes unable to use it. The red around my eyes is there to alert my allies if they have one so they can get some distance. Not bad, considering how most ninja who have a Kekkei Genkai become dependent on it for their fighting style. Good way to handicap some of your opponents, Jiraiya thought out loud. And even if his enemy doesn't have a Kekkei Genkai, he has several others to use. For my last one, I'd like Bachan personally to step up and test this out, Naruto said as the red around his eyes faded. Trust me on this one, Bachan. I think you more than anyone else will appreciate this one. When he finished, he gained 2 thin black streaks down his face under his eyes much like Jiraiya. Hinata and Haku stepped out of the way while Tsunade stepped towards him, wondering what would happen to her that he didn't want demonstrated on a clone. She kept a cautious eye on him as he stepped forward and quickly poked her hand. What the hell was that? She started to ask before she felt a light tickle spread over her body, and she started feeling more rejuvenated for some reason. But she got worried once she saw she was actually getting shorter. "What did you just do to me?" Her voice sounded different now, and when she looked around the room, she saw everyone had wide eyes but only her teammates had dropped jaws. "Anyone got a mirror?" Naruto asked. No one did, but Haku's mother was able to make one out of ice and showed Tsunade her reflection. Now her eyes went wide and her jaw dropped. She looked exactly like she did when she was a Genin, down to the last detail, even bust size, with her clothes practically hanging off her since they didn't change. "What did you just do?" "The 9th Kekkei Genkai, age control. All I have to do is touch someone, and I can make them as old as I want or as young as I want. And it doesn't wear off. You'll stay like that until I make you get older or you simply grow older naturally. Perfect for disabling opponents if they're too young or old to fight back the way they're used to. Or help out our own guys by making them the right age to fight." Naruto explained. "I won't have to wear a henge all the time anymore? That's great." Tsunade thought to herself. "I won't have to die of old age someday? Terrific." Orochimaru thought to himself. "Maybe if he makes me younger I'll be more appealing to the ladies." Jiraiya thought to himself. "Hey Naruto, can you make me older again? How about 29? Tsunade asked. "Sure," Naruto said before touching her hand and making her become a 29-year-old woman again. "Ji-san? Eroji-chan? You guys want to become younger again?" "Heck yeah!" Both answered together for different reasons. By the end of the day, all three Sannin were back in their prime, and Oto had its secret weapon, waiting to become an official shinobi. "Congratulations, you are now all officially Genin of Otogakure. And with the recent changes made by Otakage-sama, you are possibly the first generation of Oto shinobi to be able to make a name for yourselves and our village." The Chunin instructor at the academy told the small classroom filled with a few Hittite-wearing teens. The symbol on each plate was a musical note. Oto had been around for about 10 years now, 9.5 to be more accurate, and while they had been training ninja of all ranks, they still operated in absolute secrecy within Land of Rice only. About 4 months ago, Orochimaru overturned that policy and told everyone that Oto ninja could tell what their home was and where their Hitayatesh on missions if they wanted to, but they still couldn't tell anyone where exactly the village was located. And since then they had been able to take missions within Land of Wind and Land of Earth too, but soon they would be known everywhere. Orochimaru probably made the point across best as, "It's time for the sound to be heard." The instructor started listing off the teams. Only 2 of them were of any particular interest to one student, a 13-year-old Naruto. Team 1 will consist of Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hibiki, and Isaribi Meikai. Your sensei will be Anko Mitarashi. Team 2 will consist of Zakura Bumi, Dosa Kinuta, and Kintsuchi. Your sensei will be Kabuto Yakushi. The rest of the list was just noise to him, however short it was. Hinata, who was sitting right next to him, smiled and hugged him from the side. "Can you believe it, Naruto-kun? We're on the same team," she said in a whisper, barely containing her joy. "Terrific. Who do you think was the one to decide on that? Your mom or Ji-san?" he whispered back. "Does it matter?" "No, guess not." Elsewhere in the room, a purple-haired girl and a brown-haired girl looked at the young couple with envy. "Great, she gets to be with him even more? Now I'll never have a chance to get closer to him." "You know what we gotta do today, right?" Tsunade asked Orochimaru with Jiraiya in the room too. "Yeah, I didn't forget. Let's save it for after he gets done with the second test for Genin." "Won't that be saved for tomorrow though?" Jiraiya asked. Orochimaru smirked. "Usually, but Anko-chan's the one testing him. And you know she won't wait. Or go easy on him either. At least not too easily," Tsunade corrected. 2 hours later, Tsunade saw a battered and bruised Naruto walking down the hall to his room. He looked like he had just been in a fight with a small but pissed-off bear. "Yep, that's Anko's style alright," she thought with a small grin. "Hey Naruto, feeling okay?" "I'm fine. I've been through worse," he said, feigning his well-being. "Sad thing is I can actually believe that," Tsunade grimly thought. "Just so you know, me and the others want you to come down to the council meeting room in an hour. Bring Hinata with you so we can discuss this with her too, but we'll talk to you two one at a time with you first." "No problem. I'm going to go lay down now," the young boy replied before going into his room and crashing on his bed. Poor boy's got a tough road ahead of him, but I'm sure he'll do just fine, Tsunade commented to herself before walking away. "Any idea what this is all about?" Hinata asked as she and Naruto approached the door to the council room. Both had recovered from their little test at Anko's hands, but only Naruto was at 100% now. Not at all. But I doubt it's bad news, Naruto answered. Hey, maybe they're offering some sort of betrothal contract between us. Hinata blushed. I was thinking the same thing. Okasan keeps saying she might do something like that when we're older. Naruto and Hinata were probably the best known young couple in all of Oto. While Naruto was seen with lots of female friends, Hinata was apparently the only one he had ever been romantic with or even kissed. She was his only official girlfriend, and while all the other girls could accept that, many of them were jealous of Hinata. Shizune walked out of the room and smiled when she saw the two of them. Good, right on time. Ready, Naruto-kun? Yeah. He then gave Hinata a brief kiss on her cheek before walking away with Shizune. Be right back. The council room was filled with members of both sides. Like Konoha, there were shinobi members and an equal number of civilian members. But unlike Konoha, the number was smaller, with 5 members for both sides. And their authority was kept in check to ensure they didn't act like they were the ones in charge. For example, the civilian members couldn't call meetings if the subject of it was ninja-based. And the ninja members weren't allowed to make laws specifically for their own clans unless it was a matter of village security. There were 2 reasons the Council of Oto was smaller than the one in Konoha. 1. Having a smaller council meant making decisions would be much easier. And 2. There were fewer ninja clans in Oto. Sure, several came from Kiri, but some people who weren't in great shape didn't survive the long trip due to trouble along the way. Also, when Oto made alliances with Suna, Iwa, and Taki, they gave each village a clan or 2 in exchange for better trade and a promise of being hired for missions when they were ready. So now Oto was down to 6 clans total. The 6 clans were the following: the Kagaya, a bone-wielding clan with brutal fighting styles; the Fuma, a clan native to Land of Rice with various techniques; the Momochi, an ice-wielding clan from Kiri formerly known under a different name; the Inigamo, a clan of people with 6 arms and spider-like abilities; the Sakuya, a twin-favoring clan with a body-merging Kekkei Genkai; and the Hibiki, which was really the 3 renamed Hyugas. Technically, the Momochi and Hibiki didn't really count as clans since their numbers were so small, but the Momochi, the more established of the 2, were allowed a seat on the council to prevent ties and votes. The Hibiki would get a seat when their numbers increased. At the head of the room were the 3 Sannin. Orochimaru was the acting Kage and overall tiebreaker. Tsunade was the representative of the civilian side since she worked at Oto's hospitals, and Jiraiya was the representative of the ninja side, when he was actually in town. In his absence, Kabuto was the representative. Hello everyone. What can I do for you? Naruto politely greeted. Usually he could get away with being unorthodox, but Tsunade made sure he knew when and how to show proper respect, and this was one of those times. Also, the relatives of 3 of his friends were on this council, and he didn't want to look dishonorable in front of them. Just sit down and hear what we have to tell you, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru told him. When the boy was seated, he continued. From what I recently heard from Anko-chan, you're now officially a Genin of Oto. And that means we need to tell you something rather important regarding your future in the village. I can still become Otakage someday, right? Naruto nervously asked. His dream was to become Otakage someday, preferably the Nidaime, which Tsunade was currently the candidate for if something happened to Orochimaru. Oh, this won't interfere with your goal. Not too much at least. But it may make things a little more difficult for you, Orochimaru answered. Naruto-kun, as you are aware, you currently hold 9 Kekkei Genkais in your blood, and each of your descendants will only be able to inherit 1. With that in mind, we have something we need you to do. Yeah? What is it? Naruto asked. You must have children with 9 different women, allowing each of them to pass on 1 of your Kekkei Genkais each. Preferably at least 1 son each. Not exactly the CRA, more of a clan creation act. Naruto looked blindsided. No, I can't do that. Why not? Jiraiya asked. It wouldn't be fair to Hina-chan. I know she'd have no problem having a family with me later on, but to make her share me with 8 other girls would be wrong for her. I can't do that to her, Naruto answered. Jiraiya groaned mentally. Great. The one person in the country who's being told to have multiple women, and he's a one-woman man. Oh, where did I go wrong? Naruto, as admirable as that is in a man, there's something else you need to consider about this. Tsunade spoke up. Each of your Kekkei Genkai is a gift that should be able to help us out for generations, not just until you die. To do that, you would basically need to have at least 9 kids, each inheriting a different one. Having one woman bear 9 children or more is actually hazardous to her, But what about surrogate mothers? Naruto asked. That way you'd get the numbers you want, and I don't betray my girlfriend. Consider genetics too, Tsunade added. One way to help the clans thrive is genetic variety. If there's little genetic difference between them, we may run the risk of inbreeding in the future. We believe that the Kekkei Genkai you supply will affect your sperm enough so that the paternal DNA will be different between any two children with different bloodlines. Thus the potential for inbreeding will be significantly reduced. If the maternal DNA is identical, it could pose problems. Naruto looked a little bothered. Do you actually think my kids would commit incest? What? No, of course not. What I meant was that if you succeed in creating several clans, the population of Odo will increase substantially within a few decades. And if a good portion of the village's population is significantly genetically linked, then the only options would be inbreeding, extinction, or bringing in foreign genes to increase the variety, which isn't guaranteeable. What we're suggesting for you is the best way to avoid such a problem. Tsunade explained. Naruto didn't look too convinced. Even so, if Hina-chan says no, then so will I. I will not hurt her like that. In that case, what would you do if she says yes? Jiraiya asked. Naruto didn't have a ready answer for that. What would I do? Would Hina-chan even consider the possibility? Wouldn't it still be unfair to her even if she consented? I don't know what to think. All he said was, I don't know. Naruto, all we're asking is that you at least consider the possibility. We can't make you do this if it makes you uncomfortable. Well, we could, but it wouldn't be right. But remember, would you really be more comfortable reducing your girlfriend to being little more than a baby factory like Kuma would have done? At least with other women to help out, you can take this strain off her. Orochimaru added. Naruto hung his head as he let this all sink in. Do you need a decision anytime soon? No, take your time. If you would like to go somewhere private and think this over, you may. And on your way out, tell your girlfriend to come inside so we can inform her of this as well. You are dismissed. Orochimaru answered. Thank you. Naruto politely said as he stood up and left, his face showing several signs of discomfort. After he left the room, Hinata walked in and took a seat where he had been. Her own expression showed she was mildly nervous. Hello, honorable councilman. To what do I owe this pleasure? Hinata-san, as we all are aware, you are in a relationship with Naruto-kun. How serious would you say it is? Orochimaru asked to get things started. The former Hyuga blushed deeply at the question. I thought you already knew that. I love him and have told him several times. And he said it to me before too. I'm glad to hear that. But it makes what we're going to tell you all that much harder then, Orochimaru said. In case you aren't already aware of this, Naruto's many bloodlines are a boon for this village. And we have a responsibility to ensure they stay around for generations, which is why we feel it's best in the long run if Naruto-kun were to have offspring with multiple women. 9 total preferably. Hinata looked stunned. You want him to what? Tsunade was the one to answer her. We feel that it's best if Naruto were to have children with several different women, as it would help his Kekkei Genkais flourish in the village. You must know that if you were the only mother of them, that would require you to have at least 9 children, which would be dangerous to your body. So basically you have only 2 real options. Allow your boyfriend to have 8 mistresses or use 8 surrogate mothers. You can try to have them all yourself, but we strongly recommend otherwise. And just so you know, Naruto doesn't want to hurt you, so if you say no to the whole idea, he will too. Hinata sat there and went over it all. They want me to share Naruto-kun with 8 others? Well, it's not like I can't think of a few candidates that would be glad to, but still, Naruto-kun is supposed to be mine. How can I be special to him if I'm just one of 9? One more thing you should know, Hinata, Jiraiya added, regaining the girl's attention. Your mother and the 3 of us did write up a betrothal contract between you and Naruto stating that you'd be the one true wife whether or not you agree to this. So you won't have to worry about being less important in Naruto's eyes, if you accept the contract, that is. Hinata's eyes lit up, but she still didn't look convinced. She looked at all of the other council members. Do you all support this idea? They all nodded. Which do you support more, the mistresses or the surrogates? All 5 of the shinobi council members supported the mistress notion. 3 members of the civilian side supported it too, but 2 of them voted in favor of surrogate mothers. The 3 Sannin said they felt the mistress idea was the smarter one overall. Hinata sighed in defeat. Can I at least think this over? Everyone nodded. Take your time. And discuss this with Naruto-kun too, since he feels bothered by the whole thing as well. You are dismissed, Orochimaru told her. Hinata slowly walked out of the room and without realizing it went to Naruto's room, where she saw him sitting on his bed looking out the window. She sat down next to him, alerting him to her presence. "They told you?" he asked, and she nodded slowly. "I don't want to betray you." She kissed his cheek softly. "I know. I never thought otherwise. I just don't know what we should do about it." Later that night, Hinata ate dinner with just her mother and sister. Normally she would have invited Naruto to celebrate becoming a Genin, and Isaribi and Anko too, but she had something she wanted to discuss with her family in private. She just wasn't sure how to bring it up. "Something wrong, Nason?" Hanbai asked. "You've barely touched your curry. Just got a lot on my mind, Imuro-chan." Hinata told her sister. "I bet I know what." Hitomi briefly mentioned before taking a bite of her own curry. "Oka-san, what do you think of the whole idea?" Hinata suddenly asked. "Which one?" Hitomi asked. She wasn't toying with her daughter. Instead, she was referring to the fact there were two issues bound to be on Hinata's mind: the multiple women issue and the betrothal contract. The problem was, which one was she more focused on? "You know which one," Hinata said with her eyes beginning to narrow. "Hanabi, why don't you go eat in another room, please?" Hitomi asked her younger daughter. Hanabi's gaze darted between her mother and sister, as if trying to deduce what was going on between them. She sighed and stood up with her plate. "Okay. Let me know when you're done." When she left, Hitomi decided to address the most likely thing on Hinata's mind. "I understand that the idea may bother you, Hinata, but I've thought it over several dozen times and I can safely say I agree with the Sanin's decision." "Why?" Hinata quietly asked. "You know me and Naruto are close. Why would you try something that might ruin it? In all fairness, the first time the idea was mentioned was when you and Naruto-kun were only 6 years old. You two were only just friends then. I wasn't so sure how serious you two would come along. How could I? But haven't you noticed how I always taught you to accept his other female friends and not get jealous and possessive of him? Even share your time with him to avoid appearing domineering?" Hinata arched her eyebrows. "So you said all that hoping when this day came I'd have no problem sharing him?" "Somewhat, but not entirely. Even if Naruto-kun was limited to one woman only, it would still be a good idea for that one woman to allow him to have friends of his own choosing. I mean, you wouldn't like it if Naruto-kun told you you couldn't have any male friends outside him, right?" "No, but still, you're all asking me to share Naruto with others, and why exactly should I say yes?" Hinata asked, currently unable to make eye contact with her mother. "For one very good reason, Hinata," Hitomi answered as seriously as possible. "Let me explain. Naruto-kun has to have 9 children for the village. Now that's a minimum, not a maximum. Let's say you keep him all to yourself. That would mean you'd basically be pregnant non-stop for almost a whole decade. That's a huge burden on your body and a huge responsibility. And let's say you use surrogate mothers to take the load off. That would result in you and Naruto having to raise 9 babies all at once, rather than one at a time. Maybe having friends or family, or even a nanny help you out, would be a way to deal with it, but that's still a rather daunting task. And tough on your finances too. Now consider the idea that you allow 8 other women to have children with Naruto-kun that are their very own. 1. It takes the burden of multiple births off you. 2. It gives the village the numbers and genetic variety it needs for the idea. And 3. If they're the real mothers, they'll help in raising the children, just like nannies but for free, and they'll be able to provide more income for raising them, which, trust me, is a big help in motherhood. Also, you'd only have the pressure of being the mother of one child rather than all 9, which will be good for your health and sanity. Sure, the cost of such a good option is having to share Naruto-kun intimately, so that's why I insisted on the betrothal contract for you too. That way, you'd be the one official wife, the alpha female so to speak. The way I see it, it's really the best option for you." Hinata's shoulders trembled and her fingers twitched, making it look like she was having a mild nervous breakdown. After a moment she stopped moving and sighed before giving her mother a tired look. "When you put it that way, I really don't have a choice but to agree. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm trying to pressure you," Hitomi added softly. "It's okay. You're my mother and only want what's best for me. This may not be a perfect solution, but it's still the lesser of several evils, I guess." Hinata's eyes then got a stern look in them. "But still, I'm not going to let just any girl be with him." That same night, when Naruto went inside his bedroom, he was really surprised to see Hinata waiting for him on his bed. "Hi. Hina-chan, what are you doing here?" He was really trying to block out the perverted explanations that went through his mind just then. "Naruto-kun, we need to talk," she said in a calm voice that held a hint of dread in it. He sat down next to her and gently held her hand, calming her nerves. "Naruto-kun, I know what the council and Otakage asked of you this afternoon, Nan. I've had some time to think over it all. I've been thinking it over too. It sure is a big thing, he commented. Yeah, it is. I know it doesn't sound so great at first, but when I think about all the possible things we can do about it, and the consequences, I get the feeling that what the council suggested really is the best idea. So, if you want, I'll share you with 8 other girls. She then looked right into his eyes, but only on 2 conditions. What? Naruto asked. 1, we accept the betrothal contract first, and I become your one true wife. That way, I'm the only one who takes on your name, I'm the one who claims your virginity, and I'm the first one to have your child. And 2, we both decide who the other girls are. If I have to share my future husband, I have a right to have a say in who I'm sharing him with. Hinata insisted. Fair enough, Naruto replied. He was actually surprised Hinata was going to let this happen. You sure you're okay with this? Am I okay with this? Not really. To be honest, I wish it would be just you and me and we'd get to have 2 or 3 kids when we're older. But that's not what can happen. So we gotta make the best of this situation. When she finished, she rested her head on his chest, and he placed his arm on her shoulder. The 2 13-year-olds just sat there in silence for a bit, nothing needing to be said just then. But after a bit, Naruto did say something. Hina-chan, I just thought of something. You said you wanted to accept the contract. But when exactly did you want us to become married? He hadn't been told about the betrothal contract in his meeting, but Tsunade had informed him afterwards. It was designed to ensure that no girl had a legal claim to being Naruto's wife other than Hinata. If they accepted it, they were instantly engaged, and if not, any other girl could try and claim him for their husband. Not that they were likely to succeed, but they could still try. Not sure. Part of me wants to say right away, since as registered ninja we can now, but another part of me wants to wait until we're closer to Chunin. I definitely don't want us to try having any kids before then. I was thinking the same thing, Naruto stated. Also, I hate to bring this up, but how exactly do we handle the, other girls? Hinata slowly turned to look right at her boyfriend, but her gaze held no hostility to his question. Well, I'm thinking we don't just announce this to the village. I think we should only accept girls that genuinely care about you, and if we make this public there's no way of knowing if they really do. Let's see who shows signs of care for you without knowing this. I can already think of a few who might fit the bill. To be honest, so can I. Naruto hesitantly added. Really? Who? Hinata asked. He was afraid to answer, but felt trapped. I think Haku-chan, Fu-chan, and Sasami-chan would at least like to hear the option. Hinata didn't look bothered like he half expected her to. I think Isaribi-chan and Kin-chan would as well. So, assuming they all say yes, that means we already have 5 girls selected and 3 more too. But I guess we don't need to be in any hurry. Naruto thought aloud. Good. I want us to have some time for just us anyway. Hinata commented and added a small kiss on his cheek. I may have to share you, but that doesn't mean I have to do it from the beginning. The next morning, Naruto and Hinata met up in the tower's private training area to meet their sensei and teammate. Anko was already there sitting next to a tree that was often used for target practice, and Isaribi was sitting down with her feet in the water. Hi you two. Don't tell me you already got down to business so soon? Anko teased the young couple as they entered her sight. Even though he was used to his surrogate sister's teasing, Naruto still got red from her comment. Nei-chan! Hinata meanwhile noticed Isaribi gave the blonde a longing look that said many things, one being why can't I be the one with him, and another being I really hope our sensei is wrong. Her own thoughts on this were maybe we should approach her first. Back to business, Anko said as she stood up before her team. As you may have figured from yesterday, I'm not going to go easy on you just because we've known each other for a long time. Once you decided to become shinobi, that meant you were ready to handle a life of pain and danger. My job is to make sure you don't become victims. And what better way to do that than have the strength to fight back against anything that tries to make you its bitch. Now, since I already know you've all received some training from the Sannin, that gives you a good advantage over other Genin and lets me know where you already stand. I've found something for all 3 of you to work on individually for the time being. Anko continued, then looked at Naruto. You Otuto so far seemed the hardest. Thanks to the Sannin's help, he already knew the shadow clones, Rasengan, and basic medical ninjutsu. Finding something new for him wasn't going to be simple. I'll get you more focused on chakra control first since you're still a little rough around the edges there. But soon I promise I'll have something fun for you. He smiled, and Anko turned to Hinata. You're the second hardest, but I'm sure I can help you get a better handle on your taijutsu and maybe improve it a little. Then she faced Isaribi. You're the easiest simply because you have the most room to grow. I'll start you out with something simple to see what kind of progress you can make. Anko then looked around as if suspecting someone was watching. When she was satisfied there was none, she looked back to Hinata and Isaribi. And one more thing, I'm also going to help you too with your mark. You two can already use the first stage, right? The two girls nodded and activated their marks to show they could. Hinata was covered in lines that looked like teardrops in a chain-link fashion, while Isaribi was covered with gentle wavy lines that gave the impression of a current on her skin. Anko smirked and activated her own mark, making it look like many small snakes were covering her. Good, now I'm going to help you learn to use it in a real battle and maybe someday access stage 2. Aren't we supposed to wait until we're Jonin for that? Isaribi asked. Since Orochimaru couldn't figure out how to get rid of the mark, only create it, he settled on a plan regarding it. He offered the mark to all his Jonin level shinobi, telling them the benefits and costs and letting it be completely voluntary. It was actually accepted rather well by almost all the Jonin, and all who had it formed the village defense unit similar to Konoha's Umbu. In Oto, they were known as the Altos. Tsunade was a little uncomfortable about this, but Orochimaru pointed out it wasn't much different than Hoshi and their Kajaku arts. This was the secret technique of Oto that no other village could easily predict or counter. Normally yes, but considering how we got our marks the rules have to be a little bent for us. Anko answered. Think of it as our squad's secret weapon. Naruto's second source of chakra should be our last resort. How am I going to be able to handle it properly? Naruto asked. We got some scrolls written for you by Rashi-san and Han-san from IWA. They've got lots of info for you to handle Kyuubi's chakra in case you resort to it. Hopefully your bloodlines will prevent that, but it can happen, so we'll be prepared. But for now, let's get started on the first lesson, tree walking. Anko finished. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.